Eric Radio. It is excellent to have a giant's strength, but it is tyrannous to use it like a giant. William Shakespeare, 1623.
And it makes her walk funny.
It's a goddamn joke. It's quid pro quo de facto. This democracy's a hoax. Stacy says, man, it's time to act. Keep your wallet where your heart is. We can take the power back. So go get a bowl, a spoon, and some cereal, and sit your ass down. It's time for Eric Radio.
It is the 9th day of June in the year 2014. I'm Corey.
And I'm Stacy.
And this is episode, I believe, 57.
57.
Of your favorite Eric Radio.
The only Eric Radio.
Eric Radio, the show.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
That's not as catchy as just playing Eric Radio.
Yeah, no.
We should not ever call the show that again.
Eric Radio, the show?
Yeah.
No.
Welcome to Eric Radio, the show.
How about the Eric Radio show?
If we get on like TV and have to explain, that it's not radio, then sure, we can call it the Eric Radio show. Like the Super Mario Brothers show. You ever see that garbage? This would be slightly better than that sometimes.
I feel that you're giving us, you're selling us a little short here. I really do.
I mean, that show had its moments. Like every Friday, they played Legend of Zelda. That was pretty cool.
Well, that was pretty awesome for my particular niche.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, that's what we are. We are particularly awesome for your particular niche.
We are especially. Listen.
I know you're nichey because you listen to podcasts, you nichey bitches.
You got a niche? We'll scratch it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
New slug line.
Man, I'll tell you what, with lines like that, you might as well stop listening now.
And just move on
maybe
to
catch us
better.
next week.
Yeah,
no, that's not true. So big announcements, radio style. It is my favorite stepsister's birthday today. Sarah the Stepling, the Gus, is celebrating her 20-something birthday.
All right. Congratulations on your 20-something birthday.
20-something.
It is a wonderful, wonderful event when you turn 20-something.
Yes.
And you should probably enjoy that with as much booze as humanly possible.
Maybe, I'm going to be the responsible voice in the room. Maybe just slightly less booze than is humanly possible.
Just slightly less. All right.
A whole bunch is fine, but just slightly,
Just a couple drops.
So what'd you get? You get up at anything awesome this week?
I threw a lot of darts.
You said you've been playing a lot of darts.
I'm playing a lot of darts.
Darts.
All right. I don't know how awesome that is.
Is that at a bar you're playing darts or
no,
at home?
At home.
Yeah, that's the cheaper way to do it, man. You spend a lot of money at a bar.
I spent $10 on I played a round of darts with Bilbo Buck from A Podcast.
Yeah.
And I bought a liter of Evan Williams Green Sour Mash whiskey.
Yeah.
The bourbon, the deliciousness. And I had about an inch of the bottle left by the time I went to bed.
Oops.
Whoa. Whoops.
I've been there. Most of the time.
Oh, Jesus, man, was I drunk.
Yeah.
I stopped caring about darts eventually.
That's good. Honestly, darts, the only reason I play darts is because it gives me something to do while I'm drinking. It's kind of like the only reason I would have a chip if I had French onion dip. It wouldn't be because I like chips.
You're just quite the poet tonight, sir. I'm telling you.
Why did that kind of rhyme? I guess it
Chip and
did.
French onion dip?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, I'm like Dora the Explorer. It's Dora the Explorer.
See, you did so well, and then you got stingy with it, and you fell flat on your face.
The worst rhyme in history. Dora the Explorer. And a slave monkey, Boots.
And it's like, that's what the boots are about. It's a domination
Yeah.
thing.
Oh, yeah, man. You might as well just call that monkey Work Boots.
I wonder what the safe word is.
Swiper, no swiping. Duh.
I don't think that's the safe word.
It is now. Shit just got changed.
She got twisted quick.
Yes. So darts. No. That's
I
all
don't
you-
know.
that's all
I don't
you-
know what else you want me to talk about.
What is your game? Throw darts at the board?
If I'm by myself, I play Around the World. If I play with somebody,
Around
it's
the
either an
world,
01 or
around
cricket.
The world, around the world. You remember that song?
Yeah.
Bow, 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 bow. That was an awesome song.
See,
It was
we-
a terrible song.
we were doing so well.
I hope we
Now
get
it's-
sued for that song.
We're definitely not going to get posted on YouTube now because of the goddamn song.
God damn it.
Stupid YouTube.
Well, that's it. We'll have to sing the Barbie song to redeem ourselves. Not happening. Not doing the Barbie song.
Oh my God in heaven. But again, we were doing so well. Where are we now?
When was that?
I don't know, a couple episodes ago.
Oh, all right.
What?
Hey, last week was pretty good.
Where are we now?
I went to the market this weekend. Dude, I posted this on my Facebook, and I'm really happy with this turn of phrase. I had a hipster-ass day yesterday.
I'm glad that you're proud of that turn of phrase.
I like that turn of phrase.
Dirty hipster.
I'm not a dirty hipster. I clean myself frequently and have a better beard than most hipsters.
Mildly hygienic hipster.
I never wear yoga jeans. Ever.
What's a yoga? Never mind. Moving on.
Those tight, skinny jeans that hipsters wear.
You went to the farm.
No, before that, we went to check out the Brighton public market, the farmers market.
Oh, the market. Okay, yeah.
Dude. First off, people watching way better than the city public market. And by better, what I mean is like more affluent appearing, way more pretty girls than most of your farm. Well, than the other farm markets that I've been to. The one in Avon does not host this horde of hotties at all.
Host this horde of hotties, rhyming and alliteration. Thank you for listening to Airwreck Radio.
Yeah, man. I've been talking a lot lately, man. Putting words together more frequently and with slightly more skill sometimes. Not this time, but sometimes.
Where's the end of the sentence?
I don't know. Look for the period.
It's dripping.
Yeah.
Oh, see, I had to get something
So
out
I went
there.
to the farmer's market in Brighton, and
What did you do at the farmer's market in Brighton, Stacey?
it was awesome. Folks, one more reason to buy local. There was a band. You don't get that at Wegmans. Nothing against Wegmans. I mean, Wegmans is pretty local for most people, but honestly, Danny Wegmans is like, nothing against him at all, but he's made his fortune. Somebody else could take a turn. Just
Smaller
saying.
business.
Yeah.
There's smaller business.
It's like
Still
trees.
local, smaller business.
It's like trees. The old ones grow less, but the new ones grow many and more. And it's the same with business. We want small trees, not big trees. Anyway, lots and lots of small farms with lots and lots of interesting things. There was a farm there that had maple syrup, and honey with the on the comb. You ever had honeycomb?
Yeah. Chew the wax for a while.
Yeah, man. It's like those old vampire lip chewing gum things. It's horrible when the flavor runs out, but man, it sure is novel at the beginning. So there's somebody selling that stuff. There was somebody selling a bunch of jams and preserves. Dude, I bought this pecan jam. It is fucking badass. It's terrific. I recommend go there, buy the jam. It's great. They had homemade granola. They had
Pecan jam?
yeah.
How the fuck does that work?
I don't know. I don't know how to make jam.
There's no juice in the...
No, there was pecans in there. How do they make pecan pie? I don't know. That's why I'm learning how to do this stuff, so I know the answers, because people should know the answer to that question.
It's butter-based. I know that, the filling for pecan pie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Butter-based.
Yeah.
She
Same
had-
thing as butter tarts.
She had butter-based.
Oh, yeah.
Everything was good. Butter-based.
Oh, yeah.
That
What
kinda
other
doesn't really go anywhere.
What other interesting things did you buy and see at the market, Stacy?
I was quite thrilled at the prospect of locally grown wheat. I found a bag of locally grown wheat with a T, wheat. I mean, I'm sure there was plenty of that other stuff there too, but they kept that on the DL.
And actually, like they say, 70% of all the without the T is usually local, anyways. 'Cause
Probably,
it's
yeah.
easier
I
to-
believe that. Yeah, it's not worth shipping.
Exactly.
But I was real excited about that. So as soon as we run out of the store-bought flour that we're using to make bread, we're going to be buying that locally sourced GMO-free shit, going full hipster on you.
Yeah, that only costs $7 a loaf, I'm sure.
No, maybe for a 5-pound bag. I mean, it's going to be slightly more expensive for a 5-pound bag, but I mean, you get 4 loaves of bread out of a 5-pound bag. And you get the fulfillment of knowing that you've supported a local farm instead of big farm, Big Brother's food supplier, and you know where it came from. You can go see the farm, I'm sure. Honey Hill Farms was one of the farms that has a set up at the Brighton market. And they are known for their garlic worldwide, or not worldwide, nationally. They are a national garlic producer, but they also have beef and chicken.
Is the beef and chicken kind of garlicky?
No. Nope. But they keep their chickens. Their chickens are allowed to walk around. I don't know if you know this about chickens, but
It's called free range.
Tyson's chicken is not allowed to walk around. In fact, they're not allowed to have beaks. They cut their beaks off because otherwise they'll peck themselves to death.
Yeah, sure.
And then they grow they're so modified, their breast grows so big, which is pleasing in humans, but in chickens it's very depressing because they can't
have actual sex.
They can't walk.
They can't have actual sex. They have to be artificially inseminated.
And I mean, the good news is they don't need to walk because they're too cramped into their living conditions. Honey Hill Farms, on the other hand, free-range chickens. I saw the chickens. I saw where they're kept. I saw where they grow up. I saw everything about these chickens except for the kill room. And they seem to be living the chicken life.
Right up until it's time for the room.
Look it, man. You can argue the value of not killing chickens for food all you want, and I'll never have an intelligent, good argument for that, except for the fact that, have you ever seen a fox kill a chicken?
Brutal.
Yes. We are way nicer about it. Even when we're mean, we're nicer than that.
I always wonder, just like the kids' movies, if the chicken thinks it's going on a trip. Oh boy, I selected me this time.
Chickens don't have I don't think they have that kind of cognitive ability. They're just like, I'm a chicken. I'm a chicken. I'm a scared chicken. Oh, my throat feels. I'm pretty sure that's how it goes for chickens, especially free-range chickens. They just get to say, I'm a chicken. And then, your big farm chickens, your cramped quarters, beakless chickens are like, I wonder what it feels like to be a chicken.
What's a chicken?
I guess it doesn't matter. And that's the difference between the chicken that I had for dinner tonight and the chicken you get at McDonald's.
Well, let's start with your chicken's actually chicken.
Yes.
And McDonald's, the jury's still out. Second of all, yours just had a hell of a lot less depression attached to it.
So one of the things...
Better mojo.
One of the things that I think... Yes, much better mojo. One of the things that I think that a lot of people wonder about this, because, who knows? I know. I know because I went and bought a chicken. It was $5 a pound. We got a 4-pound chicken, cost $20 and change. I think that's a great value. We baked the chicken or broiled it or whatever. I don't know. Tammy ovened it up.
My wife put it in the cooking box and fed me dinner.
Exactly. And then I cut. I had to cut it up because that's my job, I guess.
She can't use tools like a fork and a sharp knife. You put it in the cooking box.
I bet
I'll do the tool working.
I bet the next time she sees you after listening to this show, she'll just show you how to use a fork and knife.
I'm sure she still listens.
She definitely does.
Oh, God. Why does she do that?
I don't know.
Give up.
No, don't tell. Come on. You know why she listens. Because this show's the best show you're going to... Listen, if it was this show or the radio and you're here, you made the right choice. If it was this show and, Pandora or something, you still, I think, made the right choice.
You're probably on the right track. You're on the right path.
But anyway.
You're getting there.
But anyway, so we baked up the whole chicken, and we're going to cut it up into we already did cut it up into assortments of meat that we'll get 4 or 5, maybe 6 other meals out of this one bird, and an assload of chicken stock. And I don't know how about you, but I love chicken broth, man. That is good stuff.
Delicious.
My house smells delicioso tonight.
Delicious.
I'm very excited about it. Yesterday it was baked bread smell and beer, beer is not aromatically pleasing so much.
Not really, no.
Like when you're boiling it, it's all very nice, but man, bottling smells like stale beer.
I didn't really care for the smell of it boiling either, really.
No? Oh, I do. I definitely do. It smells like baby heads. I love it. It doesn't smell anything like baby heads, but it's what I associate it with it.
Wow. That's a different level of alcoholism. I associate the smell of boiling beer with baby heads.
Look at, man, this level of professional alcoholism doesn't happen on accident. You have to train for this. You got to learn your senses around, learning to appreciate the foul stenches of boiling wort. Yeah, it even sounds terrible.
Wort.
For folks who don't know, wort is what it's called when you're boiling the beer.
Boiling wort.
It's actually wort. It's a German word. It's wort. Wort.
Wort.
Wort.
Wort.
Wort.
All right, let's knock that off.
Wort. Hey, speaking of wort, going to break. Hey, folks. This here's Stacy from Airwreck Radio. And if you like listening to me talk, I got the show for you. It's called Something to Talk About. The show where I talk about something, hoping that you will talk about it. Sometimes I have guests. Sometimes I don't have guests. Sometimes I don't even have a show. But when I do, it's called Something to Talk About. And I hope it gives you something to talk about. Hey, folks. Welcome back to the show. We are going to do some headline news.
Headline news.
Boy, do we got some news for you here this week. And we actually almost have it up and ready to go. It's weird because we do this every week.
You would think that once in a while,
every now and then, we'd get our shit together. I see that we both want to do the same story now that we've got it up. Corey, would you like to do the headline? And then I will read the opener of the story.
And we'll trade it back and forth like we're doing Shakespeare in freshman high school language arts class. All
yes.
Right.
Here I sit, weak and wonder. Came to poop, but only thunder.
The New York Times. War gear flows to police departments.
I've made a terrible mistake in asking to read the first paragraph when I see that the location of this story is Neenah, Wisconsin. The great state of Wisconsin, former home, I suppose, of former Senator McCarthy. McCarthy, you may remember from the Red Scare, the inspiration for the Scarlet Letter.
McCarthyism.
Definitely McCarthyism. Listening to a book about it right now. Well, not right now, but today. Definitely McCarthyism.
Whatever.
Unless I'm wrong, in which case, Corey, if I turn out to be wrong, I promise to eat shit about it next week. I promise.
I promise that I won't remember to care.
I will not forget if I'm wrong. I mean, I've never forgotten being wrong before. But then again, I've never been wrong before. So I guess it's hard to say.
Oh, fuck
yeah. Neenah, Wisconsin.
Story.
Inside the municipal garage of this small lakefront city, parked next to the hefty orange snowplow, sits an even larger truck, this one painted in desert khaki. Weighing 30 tons and built to withstand landmines, the armored combat vehicle is one of hundreds showing up across the country in police departments, big and small.
Well, you got to protect the police against those
landmines?
roadside IEDs and landmines.
What the
Okay, just keep going.
The 9-foot-tall armored truck was intended for an overseas battlefield. But
Everybody's favorite president.
it's much cheaper to fight a war here than it is somewhere else. But as President Obama ushers in the end of what could be called America's long season of war, I wonder if they're referring here to the entire period from the beginning of our involvement in World War II, because we have been at war constantly since then.
Pretty much.
M16 rifles, grenade launchers, silencers, and more. What the fuck do police need silencers for? Are ending up in the local police departments, often with little public notice. Well, it wouldn't do to have a silencer if everybody knew.
I don't know how prudent that part would be.
This is silly. During the Obama administration, according to Pentagon data, police departments have received tens of thousands of machine guns, nearly 200,000 ammunition magazines, thousands of pieces of camouflage and night vision equipment, and hundreds of silencers, armored cars, and aircraft. What the fuck? Why do police... Listen, this isn't what police are for. They're not meant to be soldiers fighting against the citizens. That's not right. The equipment has been added to the armories of police departments that already look and act like military units. Yippee! Police SWAT teams are now deploying tens of thousands of times each year, increasingly for routine jobs. There should never be a routine job for the SWAT team. If the SWAT team needs to be there and it's become routine, there is a fundamental underlying problem here, and it might be...
Well, just a little politics there is you got to make sure that the SWAT team's used enough to
justify its
their
value.
funding,
Yeah. And especially when you start, because we're cutting back our military spending, now we have to start using that spending for police because we have this huge infrastructure to build these useless war machines.
Can I interject?
Please.
Quote, "It just seems like a ramping up a police department for a problem we don't have," said Shay Courting. Courting? What? Can I get away in here, buddy?
Courting.
All right. A father of two who spoke against getting the armored truck as a recent public meeting in Neenah. Neenah.
This is not what I was looking for when I moved here, that my children would view their local police officer as an M16-toting SWAT apparel-wearing officer. Now, I cannot...
Like the Mexican police.
That's
like the Mexican
fine
police.
for Mexico. That's their problem.
But that's the point. Is that the world you want to live in?
No. No, but hey, thanks for the North American Free Trade Agreement. We're all going to live in Mexico soon. Hooray!
Hurrah!
They'll still call it America, but...
The next paragraph in this story is probably my favorite point of the story itself. Now, when we're done and you feel like we've read enough of this 8-page story...
I'm sure it's very long. New York Times is known for being wordy.
I have comments about the bigger picture, but this next paragraph really pinpoints one of my arguments with this particular scenario. A quiet city of
Domo
25...
arigato, Mr. Scenario. Domo.
A quiet city of 25,000 people, Neenah has a violent crime rate that is far below the national average.
That's because they have fucking SWAT teams with armored cars and...
Neenah has not had a homicide in more than 5 years.
Well, good news, Neenah, Pennsylvania.
We're not talking about Detroit, Wisconsin.
Okay. Good news for Neenah, Pennsylvania. With all these fancy new gadgets and toys, you're bound to get some escalation. I mean, come on, man. You can't just give a guy an M16 and expect him not to use it. I saw a video the other day of this girl was in some southwestern state where she was at a Walmart and she had a pistol and somebody was concerned and called. Like, she had an open carry license.
Yeah, I saw that video.
And the cops showed up and one of them had an M16 or something that it was a fucking assault rifle, whatever it was. And I'm like, people are uncomfortable with a girl with an open carry with a holstered gun on her hip. So we get an officer, 2 officers actually, and one of them is hauling an assault rifle?
I would like to remind you that it is not legal in New York, at least, for you to carry a handgun with more than 7 rounds.
Yeah, no.
They're carrying 100-round clip M16 assault rifles, and the citizens are only allowed
10 in an assault rifle, in an automatic rifle. A rifle clip can be no bigger than 10 now.
But fully automatic rifles are no-go.
You can't even have one of those.
Yeah, so guess what?
Yeah.
That sounds an awful lot like they've got the cannons and we got the pea shooters.
Yes. And now they have more cannons. For what? I don't know. To enforce
domination.
To enforce increasingly ridiculous laws.
The reduction of your personal rights and civil liberties?
Yes.
Well, those are the things we were talking about right now?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, let's just pay attention here, folks.
It's not for stopping the criminals. It's for enforcing control.
Define criminal, though.
Well,
you
that's
see,
a good question,
that's the thing. You know how many people get arrested for petty drug offenses, and there's guns involved in that. Like the cops come with guns out, and it's
like we don't need armored vehicles and SWAT gear and tactical utensils and things like this to catch the one shooter criminal.
Yeah.
What we need that for is to shut down the small American town, or in recent case, a large American city, put it on lockdown while we catch this criminal.
Recently.
That's what we need it for, is to keep you in your homes when it's too dangerous for you to go outside.
I recently, now you know my neighborhood here, Corey, is not the kind of neighborhood where you would expect to see a small army of police officers storm a door. Friday, as I was leaving from work,
there was a meth lab.
No, in my neighborhood, I saw about 12 cops approaching the front of a house in my neighborhood, vests on, guns in hand,
probably
running around to the back door, covering the front door. They were looking for somebody that don't even live there no more.
How did you find out that information?
Because it's my neighborhood. I talked to my neighbors, the people in my neighborhood. I know them. So, and I was just like, I was shocked to see this group of armed strangers assaulting my neighbor's home. Shocked me to see that. And I'm like, this is how we serve a warrant? This is ridiculous. 12 of them. Guns out, vests on. An absurd thing to see. I was not happy.
But I do also understand the other side of the coin.
I definitely understand
where
it.
we don't want peace officers. We don't want good cops getting killed. So precautions have to be taken.
Absolutely.
I get that. Now, did they have a tank? I think that had been a little much.
They had at least one Suburban.
Well, close enough.
They were all unmarked cars too. It was like just a bunch of plainclothes officers, all badges very visible. And I mean, their etiquette seemed perfect. They didn't like break down a door or anything like that, but still, you just don't expect to get up and see.
It's a little unsettling when you live in a semi-rural neighborhood.
Yeah. And guns out, man. Knock off this. 12 of you got to have your fucking guns out, really, to knock on a door.
Well,
but again, I see your point too.
And you don't know, maybe you do, but as maybe an officer who's just assigned to this, or as the onlooker who doesn't know,
right.
I don't know what he's getting in trouble for.
Absolutely correct.
Maybe it was for killing cops.
You're absolutely correct. That is a very strong and solid point. How the fuck did we get to the place where you can actually justify this sort of behavior?
It's the behavior of the human beings that's gotten reprehensible. It's disgusting.
It is not my favorite thing in the world.
You had a great point when we were discussing the news story about silencers. Why do police need silencers?
Yeah, what the fuck do they need silencers for?
There's another excerpt from this story that addresses that I really like. The police in 38 states have received silencers. which soldiers used to muffle gunfire during raids and sniper attacks.
Now that makes perfect sense. For soldiers, I get it.
There's a level of
You're
stealth.
fighting a war.
Yeah. Okay. Lauren Wild, the sheriff in rural Walsh County, North Dakota, said he saw no need for silencers. When he was told that he had 40 of them for his county of 11,000 people.
Jesus.
County
Oh my
of 11,000 people.
They have a higher population density of silencers than they have of people.
Sheriff Wild confirmed it with a colleague and then said, quote, "I don't recall approving this."
Why do we have this stuff?
Why do the police, a peacekeeping force, a protection force, protect and serve,
Silencers.
silencers for stealth
Yeah.
attack, for self-offensive
If
purposes?
you're really protecting,
No.
stealth is not your. I mean, I understand the need for it in.
If you had,
Rare.
if the police station or the police, for your city owned 12 silencers because it was their 2 SWAT divisions, because the SWAT guys get silencers because
Yeah.
hostage.
Right.
That's a military action. A SWAT. I get that.
But the SWAT team doesn't get called to every fucking warrant serving.
yeah, no.
That's
It's supposed to be like the movies. It's supposed to be the bank robbery. It's supposed to be the suspicious package.
yeah.
Get the bomb squad.
Something.
Yeah.
The thing is I had a thought.
And then you lost it.
I did.
It totally, you know what? It died of loneliness.
Not true.
Uh-huh,
It was
okay.
overcrowded.
Whatever. More continuing proof of what I say about the militarization of this country and the slow, crippling hold over your civil liberties.
The trouble is,
They're just gearing up for it. Maybe you don't see
See-
it happening, but they're gearing up for it.
what it is, and you haven't heard anybody say this yet, but we talked about it a little bit last week about that school resource officers thing that Senator Gallivan sent me. We talked about that last week. We're going to talk about it again later, but it's just, this is a similar sort of issue. This is a more intrusive, more militaristic police force, and it's not going to be long. Listen, it's not going to be long before you hear somebody in the real media talk about the war on crime. You do not fight a war on crime. You fight a war on
Enemies.
You cannot.
Foreign nations.
Crime is defined by the accuser. You cannot fight a war with such free warring terms as that.
And why is it okay to over and over and over and over again for the government of this country to declare war on its own citizens?
Right.
The war on crime, the war on drugs, the war on this, the war on your own, shitting in your own toilet on your own time. Why is it continuously okay to say we're going to wage a militarized war against our own citizens? But if we do it on a micro scale, with maybe something a bunch of people believe in, nobody will notice.
That's the thing. They do it nice and slow. Nice and slow. Then you don't even notice. Let me tell you something. You stick something up my ass, I don't care how slow you do it. I know
I'm
it's
gonna feel
fucking there, and I
Yeah.
don't like it.
And now you got it twofold at front. We've got the cops who are maybe friendly, nice, joyful cops who are in the schools teaching the kids to respect and adore the authority figure.
Now
you got in a more obtrusive, stronger police force with military weapons and military grade and tactical grade this and da-da-da-da-da, forcing the older people that maybe are uncomfortable with it, but you're kind of forced to comply. 3 generations from now,
yeah, what are you going to
we
do?
have no idea.
What are you going to do if you don't like it? What are you going to do? They got guns. What are you going to do?
The guns are bigger than yours.
Now,
I don't care what you have.
to balance our conversation, there are definitely good cops out there.
No question.
The
99.999.
primary function of most people who wanted to be police officers is to do the right thing.
Oh, they're just caught up in the machine too, man.
Yeah, man. That's it.
They're just caught up in the machine too.
The worst tragedy that the machine has is it doesn't even know it's operating.
Yeah, no.
I
yeah.
think most of the time the people involved, I don't think they even realize.
Unsentient preservation. It's kind of an interesting
Sort of,
thing,
yeah. They just kind of shut off and keep, because I got to pay, my family's got to work, man. Hey,
Yeah.
I say the same thing whenever I,
yeah,
murder thousands to clean a car, I guess. I don't know.
Whenever I subjugate a small town of people, no question, man. You got to feed your family, and that's what 99.9% of people in the police forces are. They're working class people who are trying to feed their kids, trying to feed their family, and maybe make a difference.
I know.
I think it's probably like politics, where a lot of the fresh faces get into it thinking, "I'm going to be the guy. I'm going to be the the white knight syndrome. I'm going to be that guy that's going to change things. I'm not going to get."
Right. They're not going to corrupt me.
Pulled down by the system.
But then you don't even
can't-
realize it. You don't even know it.
You just conformed slowly, and
Yeah,
guess
man.
what? Down with the system.
It's like I hear a lot of people talk about, and I believe this, people talk about police officers don't get paid enough. And I agree with that statement. I think that police officers don't get paid enough. And I think the reason for that is there's too fucking many police officers. They've got too many jobs to do.
That's a fair and easy observation, actually, that I didn't know where you're going with that. And honestly, it's kind of a free market thing. If there's less of them, they're worth more.
That's it. There's too many of them. We've subsidized them past the point of usefulness and into the point of it's just a perpetuating system where we need more cops, so we need more laws, so we can have more criminals, and we got to make people criminals repetitively and keep that cycle spinning to justify having more cops.
Well, yeah, we got to pay the bills, so we need to pull people over for having a small defect in their car, and then search their car and hope to find drugs.
Try to get elected talking about lowering the budget on police spending. But if you want to lower budgets, then that's how you lower taxes, is by lowering spending. If you want to lower spending, you're going to have to make cuts where it makes sense to make cuts. And honestly, a city of a county of 11,000 people does not need 40 silencers.
There's
The
no
sheriff
way.
even said so. So why are we feeding this beast?
There's no way that town even has more than 10 cops. 11,000 people?
I don't know.
Why the hell would you need more than 10 cops?
Well, they must be 500 of them. And that's that's the other thing.
And that's all 3 shifts.
That's the other thing about having more cops. The trouble with having more cops is when you need more of them, you'll select less suitable appliquees. You will become less discriminating in the people you select to do that job.
It's kind of a free market thing.
Because you need more of them.
It's a bubble.
You have to accept more of them. And when you do that with public servants, you lower the bar to do that.
Well, it's exactly like building a bubble. You're lowering the value of the
built
space.
a bubble.
Well, the housing market bubble.
Yeah.
And the stock market bubble. You're building a lower base, a lower value base, but it's getting a wider base of lower value, no real escalation, even though the numbers seem like it's escalating because they're just getting bigger.
Right. It is just like that.
Until the system is too big to sustain itself and it collapses, which is what we're watching in the police departments right now.
Yeah, private prison systems is a bad thing because we can't reap the benefits. This is another situation where we have socialized losses and privatized gains because the people who make money in the prison system keep that money, but the people who spend that money are us. And now we're spending it on war machines to be used by police departments.
By your local peacekeeping efforts.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we don't need to do this. It's not necessary. Corey, I think we've beat this horse to death.
I could go on for another 3 days, but I agree. I think maybe it's time for brevity's sake. Probably time to move on.
Moving on in the news.
Moving on down the line. I have one that I wanted to do.
Let's hear it.
This one kind of creeped me out a little bit.
Ooh, Slender Man is the new Devil Made Me Do It.
That is correct. This is hot off of the press from The Verge. I have no idea.
Is that his, supervillain name, Slender Man?
Yeah, that's...
Is that... I am Slender Man. Look at how good I look in my yoga jeans as I murder you.
I'll read you a much shorter story this time, and it will answer all of your questions. At least some of them, I hope.
Terrific.
A 13-year-old girl in Ohio allegedly put on a white mask yesterday, waited in the kitchen for her mother to get home,
Oh, goodness.
and attacked her with a knife. The girl supposedly has no memory of the incident. She was taken to juvenile detention center while her mother was treated for her wounds. They were in her neck and back. It didn't feel like her at all, the mother said to a local television station.
What if she was like, I kind of always knew?
It would be a much better story. It'd be like, I knew that bitch had it out for me.
You can't call her a bitch. It's your daughter, lady. Have some respect. I mean, I know she stuck you with a knife, but it's not nice to call your daughter a bitch.
Really?
No.
You really have some issues.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. The above story reads like one from an apocryphal Tales of Slenderman, a spindly evil creature invented on Something Awful forum in 2009.
There's a forum called Something Awful?
Apparently.
Huh.
And it was perpetuated in online amateur fiction, drawings, video games, and YouTube videos.
Blame the media.
Media. Well, now we're blaming the alternative media.
Well, that's, I mean, somebody has to
Wait,
discredit
whoa.
them. I wonder how
Don't
much...
blame the alternative media. Wait a minute.
I wonder how much Time Warner Cable paid to have this story written.
The stories are often reported as if they are real. Sadly, this one was. Though he's yet to kill, Slenderman has now claimed at least 2 victims. The girl in Ohio who attacked her mother was reportedly obsessed with the character, as were 2 seemingly normal 12-year-old girls who stabbed a classmate 19
Jesus.
times and left her to die in the woods.
Can I just tell you, if you do something like this, we need to just expedite the legal system. If this happens, if the accuser, if there is reasonable doubt, a rope, a tree, and that's all you need.
A short drop and a quick stop.
That's it.
The girls claimed they wanted to kill their classmate in order to get an invitation to Slenderman's mansion.
And I don't give a shit if it's a 12-year-old girl. Honestly, if that's the kind of shit you're getting into, there's 7 billion people. You are wasting resources.
I quote.
Don't quoth at me. Dost thou quoth thy thumb at me?
Ah.
Yeah, it's a Shakespearean episode
Yes.
today. There once was a lady from Cork who had an aversion to pork. That shit ain't Shakespeare, though. That's an old pork commercial.
Quote. Many people do not believe Slenderman is real, and we wanted to prove the skeptics wrong.
Oh, my God. He's like the anonymous symbol. He's like that guy.
Pretty much. Slenderman is one of the most popular characters to come out of creepypasta.
Cool.
Get it out?
Cool.
The internet native horror literature and associated community of fans and contributors. Creepypasta grew out of copypasta, chain emails that asked readers to copy and paste the text and pass it on. Oh, probably so that Slenderman did not come and like, eat your face off. With,
That's why he's so slender. He was on like that carbohydrate diet.
Yeah. All face.
All he
meat.
ate was copy pasta
Copypasta with a shrimp fork.
and some fava beans.
A nice Chianti. Okay. Slenderman was first depicted as a blurry figure photoshopped into the background of a picture of some children. Clearly, in the 70s, the picture is...
That could just be in like the third world, Corey. You don't know that's the 70s.
That's fair. It could just be an Indian reservation, honestly. No,
It could be,
honest
yeah.
observation. Background of some children. He has been known to kidnap kids as well as force people to attack each other and themselves. I hate the way that they wrote that because we are talking about a fictional line of stories.
Yeah, I mean they're talking about it like it's a fact.
And
but
I'm going to read the sentence again. He has been known to kidnap kids as well as force people to attack each other and themselves, period.
periodically.
No.
I'm
Just-
sorry.
Just a period.
Oh,
Like,
they spelled that word?
no.
Oh.
I said the punctuation
Oh,
to accent my point that they said this like it was a fact.
yes, they definitely did sell this like it was a fact. Like, and here's the thing, man, this is not a fact.
No,
I mean,
it's a fictional bullshit.
It is a fact that there are 2 instances inspired by this person, but I mean, and that sucks, but what are you going to do about it?
And that's the only way something like this has any kind of real reality.
Seriously, are
And
we going
sometimes it does, but that's the only way it gets it.
do we blame internet memes now for killing people, or is there something else?
I would like to point out that sentence, that question, is in the next paragraph.
Yes, I know. It's in blue letters. I can see it from here. Do memes kill people? Quote, the crime has become a warning to parents to take a closer...
A warning?
Shut up. I'm sorry. That was mean. You're correct. The crime has become a warning to parents to take a closer look at what their children are doing online.
I just thought
Yes.
it was
Now, there's a good point. Finally, we've gotten a whole page and a half into this story and finally found a good point. Parents, pay attention to your children's activities online.
You say this about good points, but I would like to point out the whole story was about stabbing people.
All right, I guess it started with a good point, too.
At least a sharp one.
Waka waka. But in seriousness, pay attention to what the fuck your kids are doing online. Have you seen the internet? It's all fucking full of porn and gore. And listen, who doesn't like that? I get it. But do you really want your kids having their way with the internet? No, probably not. I don't know. Maybe you do. But me? No, not at all.
This is true.
Pay attention. Pay attention to your children. They require attention.
But I would like to point out that people have been doing things like this and blaming them on either entertainment,
Yeah.
or
this blaming
mythical
it.
fixture. The video games. The video games made me do it. And then you go back a little bit further, and it was heavy metal made me do it. Ozzy Osbourne made me. Alice Cooper made me do it. And then you go back a little bit further than that, and it was, I don't know, rock and roll made me do it, or whatever. And then you go back a little further than that. You go back far enough, it was the devil made me do it.
Yeah.
It's what is the behavior that makes us susceptible to that kind of writing? Like, it's a program that had to be written in your head. Like, what is it that makes people...
See, the thing is there's nothing more powerful.
Tale
There
as
is
old as time.
there is yeah, exactly. That. There's nothing, no urge more important to human beings than not being left out of the group. See, everybody,
the herd. Yeah, fair enough.
everybody wants that, because if you and I and 5 other people are stranded in the woods, we'll probably be all right. But if it's just you, you're fucked. If it's just me, you're fucked. Unless it's like fucking the Woods guy, whatever, whoever the Woods guy is these days. I don't watch TV anymore to know. But it used to be Bear, whatever.
Whatever.
I said, whatever.
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 All right, can we actually do a podcast now?
No.
Oh, shit.
All right, whatever.
You're like a bitch. You just had to get the last word.
If you are stranded alone, you're fucked, and we know this. This is instinctive. If you're with people, we're social. We're meant to draw on the strengths of the people around us and let them draw on our strengths. And people often can lose track of that these days, especially like people who only have online friends. People who do not make face-to-face communication have a difficult time recognizing this fact about their personal psyche.
And that's a very true observation.
So they feel like something's missing, but they don't always know what.
And so you try to fill it with whatever the fuck your dumbass finds.
They'll pay attention to me if I do this awful thing. I'll be on the news. That's enough. If you're fucked in the head because you don't get face-to-face interaction, if you don't know how to have normal human interactions, getting on the news seems like a great way to get people to talk to you. At least the state's going to give you a psychiatrist for a while and a lawyer.
And that's probably true, because I'm gonna be willing to bet that 99.9% of mass murderers and even just violent criminals, I'll expand the base all the way out to just violent criminals, probably not the healthiest, most adjusted social people.
Sometimes, actually, they are, but the violence...
I'm sure there's exceptions.
The violence is like their line of work, and it's not because that's the line of work they would have chosen. It's the line of work that was available to them.
Especially in something like a shooting or a mass killing incident where like the Columbine kids or the Colorado massacre.
Yeah, those people are particularly bent. But
those are extreme examples of it, I think.
Those people are the people that I'm talking about as being bent because they just don't know how to handle social interaction, or emotional responsibility has not been given to them. It's not... You're making me bury the lead here bad because I want to talk about this in the third break when I get to the letter that I wrote back to the senator.
Okay, so...
But we keep going back to it again. Like it's come up 4 times tonight.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to.
I know. It's working out really well, except that I just don't want to walk through that door.
Luckily, we have a theme that lasted the entire show.
Yes.
See, there goes very good.
But the thing is like, people aren't broken because they were born broken. I mean, there's some people that are born broken.
There's some born broken.
There definitely are some just bad eggs, but most of the bad eggs...
chemicals just don't work out. The things don't come together right.
But most of the bad eggs are bad eggs because of something in the environment.
They spoil.
It's a mixture of what they eat. It's who they interact with. It's what they see to be true about the world, and you cannot ignore that as and I don't mean you. I mean like as a people, we need to take a more responsible, in-depth look at why, because there is a fucking rash of shootings these days. I mean, violent crime in insane ways is on the rise, while gang violence is on the fall.
And now that's why I say the insane ways, as you put it, is the extremist. And maybe the violent criminals is the broadest.
Like this dude shooting out of overpasses around here. You've heard about this.
Yeah, sure have. And now, like, this guy shooting out overpasses, this guy's an attention. He's in this broader spectrum, I think. He's some narcissistic, attention hounding.
He definitely doesn't know how to interact with people in a normal way, or he wouldn't feel the need to do this.
You're absolutely... that's where I think he's in the wider base, where I think anybody who's in that kind of situation, for one reason or another, whether it was nature, whether there's nurture, whether there's nutrition, whatever, abuse, whatever, they all kind of fall under it. But the extreme cases...
I think this guy is one of the extreme cases. I think that he's trying to kill somebody.
See, I don't think he is trying to kill somebody. Because if he's a good enough shot to take the back window out of a moving car...
I don't think that's a result of a good shot.
He does the same. He does the same MO. He keeps hitting back windows.
It's hard to tell if he's getting closer or not.
I think he's probably. I think he'd have already succeeded.
Well,
and why would, if you were actively trying to kill people, why would you pick the most difficult way to do that and then be moving at 65 miles an hour?
First off, because it is the easiest way to get away with. Secondly, because we all know, maybe we don't all know, but I know that cars don't remind me of people when I'm angry. You ever had road rage? You ever got pissed off at the motherfucker in front of you who didn't put their fucking turn signal on before they fucking cut me off? And that motherfucker is a motherfucker. Buddy. He's could be a husband married to somebody's mother. He is a motherfucker in the most literal sense. But he is a whole human being operating a car. We only see the car.
He's a whole prick.
We only see the car, so it's easy for us to not recognize the value of that person because all we see is what they've done in our life this one time, and we equate all the bad drivers as one entity. We just do. It's just the way the human brain works. It's one jackass bad driver in a million different vehicles every fucking time. That's how the brain makes it work. So why does this guy shoot at cars? Because shooting at cars, it's like, why are stormtroopers so bad? Well, it's because the rebels don't wear fucking helmets. It's harder to shoot at a person than it is to shoot at a fucking helmet. That's true. That's a wartime fact. Psychologists discovered it after World War I.
I'll buy it. I don't think that's why stormtroopers are terrible at shooting rebels, but I will buy the psychology.
That's one of the fan fictions that's been given to it, is because the stormtroopers have to shoot people and the people have to shoot
robots,
basically. Yeah.
Drones, as far as they're concerned. I think that's a step, but I get your point. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Excellent.
All right. So crazy people killing shit over a fictional character.
Crazy people
on the interwebs.
Stop being so fucking crazy.
Knock it the fuck
Chill
off.
Chill out, man. Listen.
Chill.
Send us an email.
Just chill.
You feeling a little kooky? Maybe you're not. Maybe you don't even know you're kooky. Folks, if you need to know if you're kooky, send us an email at airrecradio@gmail.com and we'll tell you if you're kooky.
Or spooky.
Or altogether ooky.
Okay. Moving on.
Next story.
a little more lighthearted
Thank goodness.
to wrap up this the segment.
Good.
Do a little tech news, a little nerd update.
I like this one. This is a happy story about a sad man.
Well, it's something that we do a lot, talking about robotic replacement, limb replacement, and
Cyborg says what?
Cyborg says, what now? Off the AFP, paraplegic in, quote, Iron Man suit to open World Cup. The World what now? Cup.
That's that soccer game.
Yeah, that's right, buddy.
Yay, sports. The great distraction.
But this is still pretty cool.
Yeah, no, this is definitely a cool story.
The first kick at the World Cup opening ceremony will be made by a paraplegic wearing an Iron Man-like robotic bodysuit controlled by signals from the brain. Brazilian Dr. Miguel Nicolelis.
Is this like that episode of Pinky and the Brain where there was a robotic bodysuit controlled by signals from the brain? That brain? Remember that shit?
I get it.
Yeah.
I hope somebody else gets the joke, too.
Narf. Miguel Nicolelis.
Led a team of 156 scientists from around the world to create the futuristic exoskeleton, which was designed to enable paralysis victims to walk.
This is very exciting for... This is a really... what
This
other...
This is a huge deal.
What other animal ever could make fucking robot legs to walk it when it's broken?
We're making another animal.
And this guy, he couldn't have done this on his own. This goes back to what I was saying. We thrive in community. This guy, he couldn't even made a wheelchair on his own, probably. He probably just had to drag himself around by his arms. But somebody put him in a fucking wheelchair. That's the value of community.
At the World Cup opening ceremony Thursday in Sao Paulo, a paraplegic whose identity has been kept secret will leave behind his or her wheelchair to take to the pitch in the suit and give the tournament's first kick.
Do you think that his identity has been kept secret so that he can fight crime after the World Cup?
Yes, clearly.
Okay. And then
Clearly.
at the end of the movie, he's going to be like, I am Iron Man. And then that weird-ass Ozzy song that has nothing to do with Iron Man will come on.
I'm going to tell you right now that whatever money is behind this is big money.
Do you think he gets to keep the suit after the kick?
No.
He better Dr. Octopus that shit onto him.
Maybe it says it in the news story here, but something tells me this is like a $14 million suit.
Yeah, it's probably not for him. They probably are just like, let's have a contest for crippled people.
Walk again. Just scan this RF code with your phone for a chance to walk again.
That kind of makes it mean. They just like dangle the stick in front of him, and one time he can finally stand up and get the stick, and then they take the stand-up machine away.
He's pretty much the guy, though. I'm sure he's going to be the face of the whole project, so I'm sure he's going to spend a lot of time in the machine till it malfunctions and rips one of his limbs off.
Oh, God. He's the second guy they tried this suit on. The first guy.
We don't talk
We
about
couldn't
that.
reach him for comment. We'll just leave it at that.
Electronic circuits in the device's feet will send a return signal to the user via an artificial skin worn on the arm, conveying the sensation of movement and contact.
This is the kind of thing that we need nationalized healthcare for, so that we can get this cheaper. Instead of giving away military equipment to police departments, maybe we could just like have a nationalized healthcare system so that anybody who couldn't walk fucking could. What's wrong with that? The fuck is wrong with that?
Nico Ellis, a neuroscientist at Duke University, told the AFP, it's the first time an exoskeleton has been controlled by brain activity.
That's cool.
And offered feedback to the patient. Doing a demonstration in a stadium is something very much outside our routine in robotics. It's never been done before.
This is probably the most exciting thing that's going to happen in sports for me this year. This is very exciting.
If you think about what it takes.
Cart a machine that's probably run on a ton of batteries or pneumatic pumps or something.
This
is not a wireless machine, you know.
No, this is not Tony Stark's.
No,
arc
this guy's not going
reactor.
to walk out onto the stadium with no supporting equipment around him.
Yeah, no. There's going to be supporting equipment.
It's still
This is step one.
fucking cool.
This is step one.
He's going to think, all right, feet, let's do some feet walking, and those robot feet are going to be like, you're the boss, sir.
We'll do some feet walking.
Roger.
And I'm sure he's been training, so he'll probably be fairly proficient at it. Think of how much it takes. Think of the math involved, the subconscious math involved. It takes not only to walk, but to kick a round ball that's what? A foot? 10 inches?
I don't know the measurements of a soccer ball, but
It's
sure,
10 to 12
inches.
inches.
Yeah. That's what I said.
Oh, yeah. Boom. Just think of the math it takes to process in your head subconsciously.
Oh, you don't even you can't even think about the math.
You just do it.
If you had to consciously be aware of the mathematical things that were involved in taking a single step, you would not even stand up. You wouldn't even get there.
Especially with the fluidity in which we move.
And thank God people don't have to do that, but these robot legs do have to do that.
That means somebody had to sit down
and do
the math.
That's fucking... Well, they probably, made an algorithm or something. I don't know how it works. It's still
and
somebody had to sit down and do it.
And you have to do the math again.
Yeah, and that was Jimmy, the robot leg crash test dummy. We're going to need another Jimmy.
If you think about a single piece of the math, right, your job is to figuring out the forward motion applied for the weight of the vehicle, whatever. Yeah. You did the math wrong the first time. It was just, it's a process.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We've done it 7 times now, and I think I'm getting close.
It's not even just forward motion. There's up and down and left and right.
But no, you got to
variances
do up and down
in the ways you get there.
I'm doing forward. You're doing up and down. He's doing left and right.
Oh my God!
The other guys.
And the next thing you know,
is so big.
Somebody did it metric style, and the rest of us did it imperial style, and we buried it in Mars.
Sure did. Yeah, and this guy loses an arm. One more thing. Critics have also questioned the practicality of his research and accused him of hogging an unfair share of the Brazilian government's research budget. Nicolelis rejects this criticism. Quote, "The funding is the same with or without the World Cup. We've received $14 million from the Brazilian government over the last 2 years. That's approximately 4 or 5 times less than what the United States government invests in a mechanical arm."
Oh, no, you didn't. Snap. Dude, that guy zinged that dude that he was talking to. That's a sound... This is is 2 whole walking legs, not one, shitty
and
robot
moving arms
that can play a guitar
fairly efficiently.
Awesome. But 4 to 5 times less than that.
Now,
Brazil spent on this. And this. See what's going on here is Brazil.
You smashed that funding into this project, and we would have Iron Man.
Yeah, no shit. Brazil is under a lot of fire lately for hosting the World Cup because they're super impoverished country a little bit. So everybody's they're spending all this money on a stadium instead of spending it on...
I said the same thing about Russia.
I say the same fucking thing about Buffalo. I say the same fucking thing about San Francisco.
Buffalo, the 4th poorest city in this nation. We didn't do that. We should have.
An oversized stadium that's publicly funded. Don't talk about Brazil shouldn't be spending money on sporting events. Look at your own backyard. We're not impoverished, I guess, if you only look at the numbers and don't really think about what they say. But when you consider that after 18 months of being unemployed, you fall off of that list, you no longer count as unemployed, it suddenly becomes real easy to see that there is poverty in this country, and it's just ignored because it fell off the list. And instead of putting money towards our own poverty, we put our money towards our own stadiums, just like Brazil. So, folks, if you're on Brazil's nuts about this fucking stadium, that's no pun intended about the Brazil nuts.
That was pretty good, though.
I didn't mean it.
You really are a fucking poet tonight, I'm telling you.
I'm telling you. It happens
on
accident.
fire.
It happens on accident.
Stacy's on fire.
I'm not on fire, but if I was...
I'd piss on you. One more thing, and we're off to Breakland. I just wanted to point out, did you hear that our lovely city here in Rochester hit the 5th poorest city in the country?
Rochester is the 5th poorest city in the country?
Detroit, Cleveland, Buffalo, Rochester.
Wow. I did not see that coming, actually. But I guess I should have, because, we used to have businesses that made our city recession-proof, but then those businesses...
died because of a recession.
Well, more than that, they died because of poor businessmanship.
Bad management.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bad management, bad employment shit. I mean, the employees. Listen to...
Kodak, Bausch, and I know.
How many times have you heard a Kodak employee talk about how little work they had to do?
It's a joke. That must be Kodak employees.
Right. The farmer that I met at Honey Hill Farm, we talked about Kodak. And he says that Kodak, he said, I always thought of Kodak as like working class welfare. And I was like, man, I like you. And I definitely could have talked to him for hours.
One of the news stories that was on the news today was about a bunch of sheriff's deputies for somewhere who paid the part-time guys to work their hours.
So they could get the overtime?
So they get the overtime. They paid the guys flat rate because they're part-time. They needed to work.
Is that part of this story, or is that just
no,
something
that's a side thing. We're on the sidebar now. And I looked right over at my old man and said...
And see, that's why I'm talking about we got too many fucking cops. That's why.
Yep, bring him back.
Thank you for that. Thank you for legitimizing what I was saying by talking about that story.
Hell, we'll bring it up for the go along with the other thing. I looked right at my old man. I said, what do they work at Kodak?
Yeah.
I was literally like, they were at Kodak.
That seems to be the
mentality. That's a Kodak move. Guaranteed. How can I get away with sitting here with my thumb in my butt?
I'll just pay somebody else to work I'll pay their salary to work my overtime, and then
my salary's so much larger, I'll still make a profit.
Corey, would you play a game with me?
All right, but you got to put your pants back on.
Who pays the cops?
Johnny Taxpayer.
And who is that?
Me and you and him and them and their and her and her and our great listeners.
You and me and all of our listeners.
Yeah.
And even the police themselves.
Yeah, well, yeah. Taxes come out of those checks.
Paul is robbing Peter to pay Paul. And we're Peter.
They're paying Mary for sexual favors. Oh, no, they're just taking them because they're the police.
Boy, that upsets me. It literally is.
Well, I didn't mean to upset you. It was just kind of a half-assed joke. I'm sorry.
No, not what you said. What I said. It literally is. Paul is robbing Peter to pay Paul, and we're Peter.
And in Rochester, there's no money to pay anybody.
5th poorest city in the country, huh? That sucks.
Sucks is the big one.
Oh, all right. I guess we weren't getting any more out of that story because that bitch is closed.
Yeah, well, I figured it just seemed like a good place to take a break. I also could use a beer. So thank you all for listening to Airwreck Radio. Make sure you keep tuned because we will have more special announcements coming about the Big Clam Bake.
Thank you for listening. We want to take a moment to speak to you about a subject that I am sure is close to all of our hearts. All we are asking for is a few simple seconds of your day to save one of these poor creatures. Abused, neglected, and forgotten. It's simply disturbing. These pseudo broadcasters are left without anyone to interview or to create all their content for them. Let's face it, this job's a lot easier when someone else does all the heavy lifting. Please, take just a few seconds of your day to help these poor, neglected creatures by emailing them airwreckradio@gmail.com with your booking suggestions and feedback. Thank you for your time and compassion.
Thank you for sitting through the break and joining us on Airwreck Radio. Every week we bring you original content right here from good old Rochester, New York.
That's a good point. We do bring you that.
Every week. And sometimes we bring you 2 shows, sometimes we bring you 3 shows. Sometimes we tramp about. We go on other people's shows.
Sometimes we even bring you a good show. And folks,
once in a while, it does happen.
I got to tell you, if this is your first show, you've had one of our better shows. I wouldn't say that this has been our best show.
Is this a bit we do now where we grade the show like halfway through it?
You just never know, Corey, when we're picking up a new listener. And I'd hate to think that we've had some people give us 2 or 3 listens while we were not making good show, because we've had some bad shows, right? I mean, We both have walked away from shows being like, that fucking sucked.
Terrible.
That fucking sucked. But the thing about the really bad shows, if you've ever heard one of our really bad shows, it is almost a guarantee the next show is awesome. And we've had, including this episode, I think we've had 3 very good episodes in a row.
I'm glad that this is a new bit we're going to do at Stacy's Scoring Center, but we're going to make sure we do it at the top of the third break when the show's not over with.
Right.
So just in case they tuned in on the break in the middle of a podcast.
No, but just so if this is their first time listening and they got to this point, they're like, wow, this is really great or really awesome. I wonder if it's always this great or awesome. I want to make it clear. It sometimes is this great or awesome. You be the judge.
It kind of sounds like you're saying, I know it looks kind of small, but I know what I'm doing with it.
That's right. That's right. It's not the quality of the hammer. It's where it was manufactured.
It's the nails he blows. Oh, he needed the money. All right, sorry. Moving on.
So, Corey,
you had I'm sure, obscenely long and wordy email that you wanted to share with us all.
It may be wordy, and you may call it long.
I know you.
But it is certainly
and you were restraining yourself. I understand.
I was because when you write a senator, it's important to be concise. These are busy people.
For his secretary, he's got to read it quickly. You know what I mean?
So, folks,
TLDR, buddy.
If this is your first episode, backward spoilers. Last week on the show, we talked about I had received a letter from Senator Patrick Gallivan, who is the New York State. He works in the New York State Senate. He represents the 59th district. Let me just make sure that that's correct. He represents the 59th district, and he sent me a letter asking me to contact my school boards
because he needed money for crack
and suggest that they put that is not what's in the letter at all.
No,
not even a little. And he suggested that I help him recommend SROs, and I could not do that. SRO, a school resource officer. See, Senator Gallivan is a former police officer, and he thinks that the problem with the schools is that there's not enough children in them. And he sent me a nice letter, and I read it last week. So if you didn't catch last week's episode, good news. It's a podcast. It's available for download right now at iTunes or Stitcher or on the Airrec Radio website.
And ROCpodcast.com.
And ROCpodcast.com. There are a million places to find it. So if you didn't get it. The whole episode was a very good episode, but we did talk about this last week, and I had said that I was going to write a letter back to Senator Gallivan so that I wasn't just tooting my whistle on the podcast.
If you're going to toot your whistle, we need to get a visual medium first, because I'd really like to put that on the website.
Toot. So, as of the beginning of this show, I have mailed this email to Senator Gallivan.
Is that what you were ticking about when I was over here fiddling?
I was putting some finishing touches because I sat on it. You know, I put it on my Facebook that I had gotten this letter, and I posted a picture of it, and I got some other people's opinions, and both of the people that interacted with me on my counterpoints to their points, they all said, wow, that's a good point. So I thought, I've got enough good points here, at least from the little bit of interaction I have. I got a couple of, wow, that's a good point. I hadn't thought of that. And I thought, well, very few people respond to the senator, I imagine, so perhaps I will give him my input like these people were willing to give me theirs.
Stacy was going tick, and I was going fiddle diddle 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 diddle.
So I typed up an email to Senator Gallivan explaining to him my views on SROs.
Senator Gallivan.
Dear Senator Gallivan, I recently received a letter from your office asking for my support in your efforts to place SROs into our children's schools. I'm afraid to inform you that I must take issue with the concept described in your letter. I would like to thank you for providing your constituents with this sort of information, as well as the reminder that you came from a law enforcement background. While you say that this makes you, quote, keenly aware that unaddressed problems with youth during their teens often turns into serious law enforcement issues once students graduate, end quote, I am inclined to say that this may also make you keenly biased when judging the abilities of police officers to have lasting, positive, and correctional influences on our youth and communities. For myself, I cannot see how having an officer in each school would correct the underlying issues which face our children today. It is my belief that the reasons we see such indifference in today's youth is that we have given them nothing to care about and removed from them the contextual understanding for why they should care. They go to schools where they are bludgeoned with dry, unrelatable facts about a particular subject which may or may not be of interest to them for 40 minutes at a time, and then are herded to the next class to be assaulted with more droning facts. To me, it's perfectly understandable that young people would find this time tedious and wasteful. Meanwhile, as we raise our security budgets, we have seen a trend towards shrinking arts and music budgets, and then we ask ourselves, why don't today's children know how to express themselves? Self-expression is a learned skill, a fact which has become more and more neglected in the present age. There have always been people who say that arts are a waste of curriculum resources, and those dissenters have had their day. And what has been the return in the new American citizen? What reward have we reaped in exchange for meaningful arts curriculums? A generation consumed by misplaced self-absorbency and a growing trend towards apathy. And when our children go home from school, what are their options? They are not welcome at local malls without supervision.
Loitering.
No loitering. In the cities, playgrounds are often unsafe. Insurance companies have made it so that no skateboarding signs are almost as popular as no parking signs. Young people are even denied the opportunity to seek meaningful employment thanks to outdated and overreaching child labor laws. The only options left for today's youth is to play video games or watch television. Both are mediums full of sex, violence, and vapid consumerism. In short, there are no avenues for our children to find meaning in life. What prospects face them after graduation? Perhaps college, where they may find some meaning. Or they may just rack up a crippling amount of student debt, thus obstructing their ability to start and sustain successful families or otherwise enjoy the middle-class lifestyles that their college educations may have afforded them in a bygone era.
I would like to point out quickly that even if they could, directly out of school, start the successful life you're talking about,
Yeah.
if you still fast forward at the end of it, they're still in a buttload of debt.
Right, for even the ones that can, doctors pay off their debt about the time they're 50.
Yeah, and
Doctors.
And they still owe on their giant house.
That's crazy. Back into the letter?
Yeah, back into the meat. I just wanted to make that point.
More likely, for those who go to college, they will get out and find that all the jobs are overseas thanks to federal free trade treaties. And what is there available for those who can't afford or do not elect to go to college? A lifetime of work in retail or food service? Maybe a job as a mechanic, though more and more, even those jobs require a college-level education and the debt that goes along with it. Placing officers inside of schools serves only to make it more likely that a student will leave school with a criminal record over some petty offense. Arming these officers sends a clear message that it is okay for men in uniforms to be prepared to shoot children. What possible benefit could our floundering society gain from this program? Lower response times is not enough to justify the increased likelihood of criminalizing our young citizens. The problem with today's children is not that they don't have enough police presence in their life. When their lives are so bereft of purpose or meaning, when they are denied the right to self-determination in education or the right to meaningful work, how can we expect them to find meaning or value in anybody else's life? I will not support this program. It is woefully short-sighted and only serves to create unproductive jobs for those who seek authority. Perhaps with more details concerning the implementation of these SROs, I could be brought around. For example, what will qualify somebody to be an SRO? Will they be a normal police officer in a uniform? Will they be a TSA-type official? Will these officials...
contractor.
Exactly. Will these officials be armed? If so, are the conditions in which an SRO... If so, what are the conditions in which an SRO may draw a weapon on a child? For now, I cannot countenance trusting to my elected officials to fill in the blanks as I would. The history of recent years has given me little reason to trust. I, as well as a growing number of my countrymen, grow weary of the bludgeon of fear used to deluge America with the dark uniforms and shiny guns of security. I look forward to learning more about this program and hope your office will provide me with justifications that your missive was lacking. Your constituent and countryman, Stacy Coughlin. This is the part where I drop the mic.
Boom. I kind of thought of a compromise yesterday.
I'm glad you've been thinking about this as well.
And I was okay with the street corner.
What was that? What do you mean?
Put the cop on the street corner.
Yeah.
Outside. Just wave to the kids.
Outside.
Hi, kids. Yeah. Outside, right there. Feet away.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Feet away, available in a moment's notice.
If he wants to make rounds outside of the school, if that's what this SRO does, cool. I guess, sort of. I guess I don't really see justifying the expense. Remember, this costs $100,000 per school or more.
Well, the way, in a justification kind of standpoint, is not only is that police officer going to make that school safer being there because he's available on a moment's notice, at least give us the opportunity for more safety. So will every other house on that street corner. And the traffic will slow down.
Right.
There would be positives to it.
Having police visible does have positive benefits. Putting them in schools is not the problem.
To roam the halls with their gun and badge or sit in an office, I don't know. See, I don't know the parameters.
That's just not what's wrong with today's kids. They have no education regarding self-expression. How can we expect them to know how to express themselves in a responsible manner when we have cut that from the budget? Let me tell you about music and arts. Music and arts is something that people were always talking about it in the 90s. We need people to know how to do math and science. But before you can it's good to have people who know how to do math and science. Don't get me wrong. That's good. But what the fuck are they supposed to do with it if they don't know how to express themselves?
Well, how about the people that aren't necessarily inclined towards hard math and hard science? People who are more artistically inclined, they're supposed to just punt because we need more people who are in math and science.
These people have to be D students and therefore face a lifetime of perilous employment prospect.
Inclined differently.
It's so blatantly I was talking to somebody today, somebody whose opinion I respect, and he was like, there's no easy answers. And I was like, I don't think that's true, man. I think there is an easy answer. I think we put the money back into schools and we stop seeing people that don't know how to fucking interact healthily.
Oh, we do that, Stace. It's called the lottery.
No. Actively putting the money into that.
Oh, you want me to actually do it, not just
take
say
the money that we're spending on fucking armored vehicles. The money that we're spending on Batmobiles for police officers. Take that money and put it to schools. We don't need the military spending anymore. It's just the Cold War might be over. Let's stop fighting it. It used to be communism. Now it's terrorism. You see, we don't need isms. They don't help us solve problems. They just breed problems at home. And it's time America get its backyard in order. And the first way to do that is to start spending money on the important things, like a varied and relevant education that will give our children's lives value. Because if their lives have no value, why should anybody else's?
I would rather spend the money building an illusion of security, so that after I accept the fact that there's armed police officers walking the halls of my children's school, I might say, well, it's nice to know that my kids are safe and cozy and cuddly and kind. I'd like to have that at work.
And rational people will make that argument. They will. They will. And they'll say, it creates jobs. And they're right, but it is a vacuum because those jobs don't
But it's an infrastructure... Sorry, it's an infrastructure so big the government wouldn't even be interested in withstanding it. So now we want the police in the schools, and that makes us feel warm and cozy. So now we want the police in the work sites too, because that makes us feel warm and cozy.
Hold on.
But we can't afford that. So what we'll just do is the government will mandate that me as a business owner has to hire a private armed security guard to provide that warm, fuzzy feeling.
The future you have just described is horribly accurate. There is a real possibility that this is the kind of thing we could be looking at, because once we get our kids adjusted to having police presence on a constant daily who's gonna run the country next, assholes? The kids, who are so used to seeing police in their classrooms by this point
that by the time our
that
kids
they
are
will
running
just
the country,
expect it to be part of
be
a
in their
business
bedrooms.
expense. And do we really want to be in a country where a business requires security? Or couldn't we just go back to being in a country where everybody understands the intrinsic value of human life?
I say we just all pack heat. People get rowdy. We bust caps in them motherfuckers.
Yeah, that's no fix either. That's like your crazy ass free market. It's just there needs to be some legislation, but this legislation, this is overreaching and short-sighted. It has no basis in reality. This is an officer, a former officer.
I said, oops, there goes gravity.
Yeah. This is a former officer of the law who I'm not taking anything away from him, man.
Officer of the law.
Senator Gallivan has a long and esteemed career, and I don't know the specifics of it one way or the other, but I don't want to take anything away from him. But I will say that you don't get to be a state senator without making some promises along the campaign trail. And if you're a former cop, you probably promised some new cop jobs. And that's fairly legitimate. But not justifiable. This is not justified. This doesn't fix anything. This is putting a Band-Aid on a broken leg. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't fix the problem. The problem is not that you're bleeding. The problem is your fucking leg is broken. You got to fix that. You can't fix something else and say, well, it was the best we could do. You can't say there were no easy answers, because there are easy answers. This is an easy answer. It just takes implementation. And because it's a more difficult implementation, especially in these days of Common Core education, this farce that they're doing where everybody in the country...
And we're going to roll it out all at the same time so that these kids' heads explode.
And sink or swim, this is the plan. Common Core. Listen, I got a problem. Here's the problem with Common Core. It's sink or swim. Either it works or it doesn't. And if it doesn't work, we're fucked.
And it's not going to work. It's designed... And I don't want to say it in a nefarious way like... Somebody, we'll fuck them all over.
It seems mathematically improbable that it would work.
But it's improbable it's going to work. And all it's going to do is it's going to give a false impression that the education... Now, we both agree the education system we have now is not working. But it's going to give a false impression that the education system that we have now has failed and gone bankrupt and be dead. That's all those numbers are going to show to prove. And that's not necessarily the case. When you roll out a Common Core form of testing... across everybody and don't give any of the students who've been learning it up until this point in a certain way a chance to adjust to the new verbiage, designs, questioning.
Yeah, they have this like flip switch thing that they're doing where they're like, all right, now we're going to do it this way, and good luck adjusting, because if you don't, you're fucked.
So, I mean, it's a little bit easier for the kids that are younger because they're just starting to learn it. So Common Core rolls out now. They're starting with it. But the kids that are 12 years old and 10 years old are going to have a problem with it.
And the important thing to realize here is that I think both of us are not arguing that... I think the important thing to realize here is that neither one of us is arguing that the schools don't need to change because change is bad. But this Common Core is a unilateral change across the whole country. Sink or swim, our students are either going to get it or they're going to be unemployed. A whole generation of them. Wouldn't it be better to let schools make their own education decisions so that we can look at experiments and we can see this school district had this success rate in this subject. What did they do right? And this subject or this school district had this success in this subject. What did they do right? Or they failed in this particular subject. What did they do wrong? We have our differences, our geographic differences. The fact that we have 300 million people is something we should be using to our advantage to perform varied experiments. There's nothing wrong with the idea that people in New York need a different fundamental education than people in California. Oh, they do need some commonalities no matter where you live. Math is math. But why isn't there botany class?
Yeah, and the horticulture and
Why don't kids know how to grow a garden? Why didn't I, until I was 33 years old, build a garden? Why is that? I'll tell you what that would fix. That would give meaning. Those kind of classes, the options to take those kind of classes and have them mean something later on in life, where we have a future where unemployment isn't rampant, farming is. Isn't that a better future? The trouble with it is then people become self-sufficient. And when people are self-sufficient, they're all entrepreneurs. And if we're all entrepreneurs, then the mega rich don't have a workplace. You see, and they're the ones controlling the
force.
They don't have a workforce either.
Yeah.
And then the price of labor goes up. And that is an honest minimum wage increase. When the price of labor actually goes up by virtue of scarcity of employees, that is an honest minimum wage increase. When we're trying to increase minimum wage while there's a surplus of employees, that's poor economics.
Yeah, it doesn't balance.
But right now there is a surplus of employees, and it's so big we don't even know it because we stopped counting after 18 months if you're unemployed or not. But we do know that there are more prospective employees than there are jobs for them. There must be.
Faux show.
But that's only because of the jobs we're encouraging people to do.
Remember, the percentage we're counting is 9%.
Oh, it's way more than that if you
factor in what we're not
in
counting,
the ones that we stopped counting over the past 2008 was the crash?
Yeah.
That's 6 years ago?
Yeah.
6 years. That's at a year and a half, that's 4 different instances consecutive where people went 18 months and fell off. Never mind the overlapping instances. That's at least 4 times people have fallen off of that list.
It's likely to believe that we stopped counting after 18 months, but some of those people might have found employment. So it's likely to believe that up to 20% of the population of this country is either currently employed or underemployed with part-time jobs.
Yes,
that are outside, that are under their training levels.
And those part-time jobs, you can't fault the small business owner, because if they were full-time, they'd have to pay Obamacare. And I am for nationalized health care, but not the kind of national health care that has the backing of the national insurance companies. That's not what I want. When I say nationalized health care, I don't mean I want fucking...
And nationalized by a private company.
I want an insurance company that MetLife is like, this is going to put us out of business. That's the health insurance I want my government to provide me with. Not the health insurance that MetLife put their fucking stamp of approval on.
Overinflated, overpriced, exaggerated, disgusted.
Bilk the money out of the small business owner, because they are loaded. Those small business owners, they got a ton of money. They're all good. That's
coming out of their ears.
That's horse shit. It's horse shit. It's irresponsible, and we need to take a look at it. And we really, really, really need to do something about it. And the thing to do about it, if you ask me, is take money out of military spending, which is already on the shrink, clearly because we're giving military, brand new, unused, out of the wrapper military stuff to police forces.
Here's some silencers.
That means we're making too much of that stuff. And that means that that's money that could be making better citizens.
Instead, it'll make dead ones.
It will. One way or the other, it will.
Criminals are still citizens. If we're using the silencers on the criminals,
yeah,
dead citizens.
So before I forget to do it.
War on our own citizens over and over and over again.
Before I forget to do it. If you have listened to the past 2 weeks' shows and heard us talk about the letter from Senator Patrick Gallaudet that I got, I would like to give you his email address, where you can email him just like I emailed him today. It's easy to do. It's so easy to do. You just sit down, you write a quick email. Tell him I don't like what you're doing. Ask him, why are you doing this? Ask him why, even if you do like it, ask him why he's doing it. Even if you disagree with me completely and love what he's doing. Ask him what his reasons are.
Now I want to do it out just to spite you.
Don't do it to spite me. Do it for your own benefit. You and I and everybody listening, this is our responsibility as citizens to pay attention when the opportunity is given to us to pay attention. Now, Senator Gallivan gave us the opportunity to pay attention, and I paid attention, and I didn't like what I read. There's not enough here to be asking me to support blindly. There's just not enough in this letter to tell me why I should support this letter. So if you want to do that, you email Senator Gallivan. That's Gallivan at nysenate.gov.
Gallivan at
nysenate.gov. Send an email there.
Out of all the Senate, there's only one Gallivan, huh?
Apparently. Send our fine senator, our esteemed former state trooper, send him an email. Tell him Airwreck Radio sent you.
And send them some flowers.
And while you're doing that...
Don't send the government official flowers in the mail.
I don't recommend that. No, they'll think that's weird. They will probably not smile on that. Corey, do you know what goes really well with the typing of an email to Senator Gallivan at nysenate.com?
Would it be some tasty sassafras tea?
You bet your ass it'd be some tasty sassafras tea. Folks, thank you so much for joining us on Airwreck Radio tonight. We will be back, same Airwreck time, next week.
It's late in the afternoon, the sun rising high. There's nothing to do around here, and if there was, well, I wouldn't try. Taking my comforts, taking good care of me. Sitting down in my easy chair, taking a sip of my sassafras tea. Now wouldn't you know it, there goes the phone again. It's probably just another wrong number, but someone tried to sell me something I can't even see. Well, I got the solution. Just sit down in my easy chair and take a big sip of my sassafras tea. It's getting near evening, the sun rolling down. I guess I should shake a leg, climb in my car and roll downtown. Check out the city lights, all decked out in a tux and a tie. But I'm sitting in my easy chair, taking a sip of my sassafras tea. The solution